Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome everyone to MACFEST 2023. I'm really sorry for being late today. We had some technical issues, but we're here now with you. And my name is Katarzyna. I'm a member of the MACFEST team, and I'm sitting in Manchester. Please tell us in the chat where you're joining us from. Today we have an international youth speaking out on environment. We've got students from around the world, so please share your comments, join in the conversation. Let us know your thoughts on the environment in your countries, and maybe you came up with some solutions with helping with the environment. Our main host for today is Professor Sorhaila Latip, and she's joining us from Philippines. She will tell us a little bit more about herself. We've got another lovely lady today who will be helping out with the hosting. It's Patsy Kane. She's a trustee of the Co-op Academy's Trust, and she's also the winner of the Diana Award. So on behalf of MACFEST, I'd like to also thank you everybody for your donations. They help us create those wonderful events, and please send more because we want to create more events for you. Most of them are free, so please take a look on Eventbrite before you go away today and join our events in the future. Also follow us on social media. MACFEST and Muslim Women's Arts Foundation are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok. And when you are on social media, please use our hashtag #SpreadHoney, So now over to you, Professor Sorhaila.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and good evening, MACFEST. And I hope I can be heard all throughout the world tonight. I am grateful once again to be with you and to be with the youth panel for this evening. And we are indeed very grateful that we have here from the Philippines, who is actually with you right now. In the Southeast Asia right now, it's evening. Actually, it's very late in the evening right now. And we have also our friends from Morocco in the afternoon, I think right now. It's about like 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. in Nigeria, and also in the US, it's actually in the morning right now. And I'm sure in Cardiff, it's also, a very good day there now. So we are thankful to have everyone tonight and this day, for those who are having the day. And definitely we will be having children from Morocco. We have the youth from Morocco. We also have our representatives from Nigeria. We also have representatives from California, USA, and of course from St. John's College from Cardiff in the United Kingdom. So maybe we would be listening more about their opinions and about their interesting ideas on how important is our environment. We all know that human health and well-being are actually intimately linked with the kind of environment that we have right now. So hearing it from our children from all over the world will be very interesting. So ladies and gentlemen, we would like to have our introduction first from our friends in our MACFEST right now on Zoom. Maybe we would like to hear an introduction of the sibling from, we have the siblings from the school Al Yassamin in Morocco. We have Khalil, Louay, and Khalil, Mohammad, to be introduced by their mother. We are requesting our partner from here on our Zoom to please introduce to us Khalil before we move on to Fauziyyah from Nigeria. Yes, can we have the mother of Khalil, Louay, and also Khalil Mohammad from School Al Yassamin in Morocco. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Zahra Bindao. I am the cousin of Louay Khalil and Mohammad Khalil. Louay is 13 years old and Mohammad is 9 years old. They're both going to talk about the environment in Morocco and their solutions, how they want to deal and how they plan on, being a better citizen and save the planet. We're going to start first by introducing Louay. And yeah, he comes from Yassamin school in this town called Berrechid here in Morocco. And I'm going to let Louay talk right now. Thank you so much for giving them this opportunity. And yeah, thank you, Kaysra, once again.
Thank you very much, Zahra. Now let's hear Louay. All right.
Hello.
Yes. We would like to hear first from Louay to give us at least what are the things that you have realized in terms of the problems in the environment right now, related to your country, of course.
Okay, I have my over-prepared, but I will try to talk about the subjects, not like going to another theme. So first, let's know about Morocco before going to the problems. Morocco is the kingdom. It's a kingdom of North Africa countries known as the Maghreb, with a population of 39 million people. And it's also its major religion is Islam. The first language of Morocco is Arabic Berber, the Arab West. It has Atlantic and Mediterranean coastlines, a rugged mountain interior, and a history of independence not shared by its neighbors. Now let's move on to the problems about the environment in Morocco. Morocco has adopted in its development strategy the concept of sustainable development that promotes a balance between environmental, economic, and social objectives, which consists of improving the quality of life citizens, strengthening the sustainable management of natural resources, and promotion of economic activities environmentally. First, we have waste management. First problem we have is solid waste management, and it is one of the major problems, and it's one of the major environmental problems threatening the Kingdom of Morocco. More than 5 million tons of solid waste is generated across the country, with annual waste generation growth rate touching 3%. The proper disposal of municipal solid waste in Morocco is exemplified by major deficiencies, such as lack of proper infrastructure and suitable funding in areas outside of major cities. And the lack of waste management infrastructure leads to burning of trash as a form of inexpensive waste disposal. Unfortunately, the major health effects of burning the trash are either widely unknown or grossly underestimated to the vast majority of the population in Morocco. Second, we have deforestation, the destruction of vast areas of forests, unsustainable forest practices, agricultural and range land clearing, and the exploitation of wood products for use as fuel without planting new growth. And in fact, the amount of tree cover lost the last 2 years was about 3,621 trees, which is a high number of deforestation in comparison with 2019, which was only 1,250 trees. Finally, we have land degradation. Land degradation has become a growing problem in Morocco for the last few decades. It may not seem like a major problem in Morocco, like a major problem since Morocco's agriculture sector continues to thrive. But if the causes of land degradation are not addressed soon, Morocco's food production will begin to suffer. The main threat is salinization, which, according to a 2001 government report, already affects around 50% of Morocco's irrigated land. Salinization is a process where rising water tables caused by over-irrigation increase the concentration of salt in irrigated fields, and is damaging because plants cannot grow in salinized soil. Eventually, the land must be abandoned, and human interferences and behavior has a big impact in this problem. And that's it of the problems in Morocco. I hope you enjoyed, and let's see who the next person gonna say.
Yes, thank you very much for that, Louay. It was very interesting that what is happening right now there in Morocco is also similar to what is happening all over the globe. In fact, it cannot be denied that it is also happening here in the Philippines, all of the things that you have mentioned, and it's really very sad. So let us now move on to how was it perceived by Khalil. Mohammad, would you like to say more about what has been presented, or do you have your own point of view at a very young age?
I'd like to continue what my brother said.
Please continue.
Okay, Islam is a way of life and integrated set of values. It encourages us to nurture and own our moral and ethical values. It also urges us to protect and care for the environment. The Almighty God says in Surah Al-Araf, وَلَا تُفْسِدُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ بَعْدَ إِصْلَاحِهَا, and do not cause corruption upon the earth after its reformation. This is why I do my best to preserve my neighborhood by avoiding burning any materials that would cause air pollution. I also try to preserve water by not wasting it. Moreover, I do not litter. I always dispose of my waste in a bin. As for preserving the school environment, I abide by the internal rules that urge us to not throw away garbage and keep our classrooms clean. It also teaches us to take care of our school garden by not plucking flowers or destroying trees. We are also encouraged to donate our clothes instead of throwing them away. Furthermore, I stick to using paper utensils instead of plastic, as well as recycling and reusing items to help save the planet. Thank you, everybody, for sharing your thoughts, and thanks to Kashara Shahraz for giving me this opportunity to participate with everyone.
Alhamdulillah, it was really very interesting. You could just imagine how young Muhammad here and was able to explain to us his own solutions and how he sees the problems in Morocco. In fact, it is really very interesting that young children like you, Louay, and also Muhammad, Khalil, were both very interesting because they are young, yet they know that they have existing problems. And yes, it is true that we need to have some solutions. But before we go into further solutions, maybe we would like to hear from our friend in Nigeria, who is right now at 2 p.m., I think, or 3 p.m. right now, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon there at Nigeria. We have here the head teacher. We have Ustaz Mahmoud to introduce to us our student there at Crescent College, Lagos, Nigeria, Fauziyyah Lawal. Maybe Ustaz, you would like to introduce to us Fauziyyah, please. Hello, is Ustaz Mahmoud in the Zoom right now? All right, so we will get back to Ustaz Mahmoud, maybe having technical issues right now. So moving on from our friends from the United States of America, specifically in California.
Now, I think
right now.
I am on.
Okay.
I'm on.
Ustaz Mahmoud. Ustaz Mahmoud.
Can I go ahead, please?
Yes, please introduce to us Fauziyyah Lawal from Crescent College of Lagos, Nigeria.
Good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
We can't see you.
Maybe you are having a hard time as of this time for technical reasons. We can't see you, Brother Mahmoud, Ustaz. All right, maybe he is having, as I said, maybe he is having a hard time with his video. And we all know that when we open our videos, we will have a hard time with connecting to the internet. So we will get back to you, Brother Mahmoud, inshallah. We'll go forward with our friends from the United States of America, who is from Carlsbad High School from California, to be introduced to us by the mother. We have here Yousha, Mikyle, Hashmi. Ma'am.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you, Sorhaila. It's wonderful to join you at MACFEST. I am introducing my son, Yousha Mikyle Hashmi, who goes to Carlsbad High School. He is in class 11. He's very active in the speech and debate team. He is the captain of impromptu speaking. And here is Yousha.
Hey. Just making sure everyone can hear me all right. Great.
Yes.
So I'm from California in the United States, and it's a country with deep and a complex historical relationship with its environment. So it's home to forests, plains, mountains, deserts, beaches, rivers, lakes, canyons, and more. So California alone has a very diverse environment, but equally important to the environment is how its people interact with it. To thoroughly examine that, we can look at my country's first inhabitants, the hundreds of unique tribes of indigenous Americans that have called this land home for thousands of years. Native North Americans largely practiced animism, the religious belief of the animation of all nature, so to speak. However, animism isn't really a religion as we know the term. It dictates much of the believer's lifestyle, completely integrating one with their environment. Indigenous animists believe that the natural world is imbued with spirit that creates a social relationship between human and non-human. To break that down, that means treating plants and animals with the same respect you would treat a family member. Lasting thousands of years, animist practices allowed for humans to coexist with their environment. Quintessential examples of this are found in the heavily forested region of my home state in Northern California, home to both the tallest and highest volume trees in the world. The Yurok tribe used the towering redwoods for homes, canoes, furniture, medicine, and rituals. They made sure to put every tree to full use, praying before and after its use to ensure full respect. Likewise, the Chumash made use of the enormous sequoias for almost every function needed to hunt, build, and stay safe. However, American animism isn't really around anymore. As European colonizers entered the region, subjugating millions of natives and stealing all of their land, the environment was no longer treated as sacred. The ownership of land was an alien concept to natives, as they saw themselves as subjects of nature. Europeans, on the other hand, saw land as potential to make money. This drive for expansion, incentivized by selfish greed, gave much of America to people who didn't understand the value of the environment. Instead, they treated it with utter neglect, pushing dozens of key species into extinction and decimating entire ecosystems. Today, America is entrenched in a culture of consumerism, expansion, and individualism. The values of communal gratefulness towards nature are long gone, and 16-lane highways stretch over the once worshipped environment of this land. Native American tribes are now allotted tiny reservations on which they're strictly regulated, while the rest of their ancestral homes get bulldozed over to make malls. Governments claim to have great care for the environment and full regret for the settler colonialism that gave them the land in the first place. However, if they really did either of these, they would recognize that great reparations are warranted to both the natives and the environment. I'm blessed to live in such a beautiful and ecologically diverse location, but it won't always be like this. The constant need for profit growth and development is hindering the growth of what's around us. It's argued that development is needed for the well-being of humans, but as a human, I can confirm that inefficient highways and another strip mall with the same 3 fast food restaurants won't make my well-being any better. But on a more serious note, let's zoom out. I can go on and on about how governments and corporations disrespect our environment, but where does the problem itself stem from? The truth is that we just don't care. A recent Gallup poll found that in America, despite most people understanding how we destroy our environment, they don't feel pressure to actually do anything. As much as I hate to say it, no matter how much we say we care about the trees, the polar bears, climate, that doesn't translate to meaningful change. call it laziness, call it detachment from the world around us. The fact is, the problem in America is that even when impending disaster is clear, we don't care enough to take action. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that wonderful and interesting input. A very young gentleman here from the United States in the person of Yousha, Mikyle. It's really very interesting that we have this kind of individuals as young as you are, who is very interested to talk about the problems of their society and specifically on the environment. And it's really true. All of the things that you've said, I could not agree less on what you've said. In fact, I would like to say that with your kind of environment that you have presented to us, the kind of ecological wealth that you have there, and that students and people and individuals, to be specific, should really be taking care of their environments. But yes, it is true that sometimes we forget that our environment is part of our being Muslims. So further on to give us more inputs and issues and problems that are being felt by different parts of the world, we have again our friend from Nigeria, our very young friend there, Fauziyyah. I hope they are back with the principal from their school. His brother. Yes.
Thanks so much. I'm very much here. I'm here to introduce Fauziyyah Lawal. It is actually my pleasure to introduce Fauziyyah Lawal at the MACFEST 2023 International Youth Speak Out on Environment, holding today, Sunday, the 19th day of March 2023. Fauziyyah Lawal is a great student of Crescent College, Lagos, Nigeria, currently in grade 12, with convincing proofs of being an asset to any endeavor she is associated with. With Fauziyyah's deep involvement in all her departmental subjects, English language, general mathematics, civic education, biology, chemistry, physics, Islamic studies, foods and nutrition, and fisheries, a strong sense of confidence is displayed. Her humility, honesty, fairness, and uprightness in her relationship with peers, teachers, and school authorities are noteworthy. Her emotional intelligence is very, very high. Fauziyyah Lawal is currently serving as health prefect of Crescent College, Lagos, Nigeria, in the ongoing 2022-2023 academic session. She emerged third overall best in the International Essay Writing Competition of the Christian Muslim Organization. She was presented with her prize on Sunday, 12th June 2022 at the National Mosque Conference Hall, Abuja, Nigeria. Similarly, on Wednesday, 30th November 2022, Fauziyyah Lawal was elaborately honored by the Medical Women's Association of Nigeria, Lagos State Chapter, having come tops, emerging best overall winner in the association's essay competition organized to commemorate the 10th anniversary of International Day of the Girl Child. At the event, Fauziyyah received cash prize, a plaque, and other souvenirs. Once again, it is my delight to introduce Fauziyyah Lawal to the MACFEST 2023 International Youth Speak Out on Environment program taking place now. Thank you. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam, brother Ustaz. I mean, now listen to Fauziyyah Lawal. Fauziyyah.
Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam.
My name is Fauziyyah Lawal, and I will be presenting on the environmental issues in Nigeria. Please put that up. Thank you. So first off, living in Africa, one of the major environmental factors is the temperature. It is very hot here, but due to the climate change, it's become a lot worse in the past few years. Dry summer days have become hotter. Dry season has become even drier, and this has been a major problem for the people living in the desert areas, especially because they have to deal with water scarcity due to the rivers drying up. And obviously temperature and climate change has been a problem everywhere in the world, but I've noticed a great change in the temperature in my country in the last few years. The next major problem is flooding. Last year, in 2022, the Nigerian flood affected many parts of the country. From the federal government data, the flood has displaced over 1.4 million people, killed over 603 people, and injured more than 2,400 persons. About 82,035 houses has been damaged, and 3,332 hectares of land have also been affected. The last time something like this has happened in Nigeria was in 2012, and the 2012 flood wasn't as hectic as the 2022 flood. It is very obvious that situations like rising sea level and climate change and environmental issues have contributed to this flooding that has left many citizens displaced. And the third one I have is oil spillage. People who inhabit the area in the delta of Niger suffer from oil spills every year. The place is so much polluted that the oil is found in the soil even from within 5 meters from the surface. As we all know, we all need electricity, fuel, and everything, but due to many issues in Nigeria, there have been oil spillage in the water, which has polluted the water, made it hard for aquatic life to survive, and also made the water unfit for drinking for people who depend on the water. Also, farmers and fishermen can't use the water anymore because it is polluted from the oil spillage, and that has become a major environmental problem because the water has been polluted. And then I have plastic pollution. Plastics pollution has always been a major problem, but it has become more of a major problem in the last few years. The country is also at the top of the problem is at the top of every country's list. I go online and I see websites and pages about other countries facing the same problem, and it is disheartening to me as a youth that this problem has gone on for too long and we need to do something about it. And then my last point is deforestation. Due to the temperature and the humidity, many places, many lands that used to be fertile have become arid. And this has affected the wildlife, and it has affected wildlife and plants in the country. Farmers cannot use their land anymore. A lot of farmers cannot use their land anymore because it has lost its nutritive values. Animals that are supposed to eat the plants have not been able to because plants aren't growing due to maybe erosion, due to wind, water due to rising sea level. All the problems are part of each other. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much for that, Fauziyyah. It's really very interesting that our youngsters today have actually mentioned all the important things about learning about the problems and issues in their countries. And of course, we shouldn't miss out the case of the United Kingdom. And we have here from Cardiff, from St. John's College. We would like to hear from the dad of Zahra Ali to give us more of what they think is actually affecting the environment of Cardiff. May I have the dad of Zahra?
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. It's actually Zahra and Hassan's mom.
Okay.
I'm here to introduce Zahra and Hassan Ali. They're currently in Cardiff, but they're interesting in that the family were originally from Pakistan. They were born in the UK, raised in Singapore, from where they've just returned back to the UK very, very recently. So they will share with you their perspective and an environmental issue that they not only spotted in Singapore, which, as we all know, is probably one of the cleanest places on earth, but they've been taking regular action for the last 9 years or so on a weekly basis, so every Saturday. I'll let you listen to them now. Sarah.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Zahra. I'm 17 and I currently live in Wales. My brother and I will be speaking about this topic together today.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Hassan. I'm 13 years old and I currently live in Cardiff in Wales. Could I have my slides on, please? Thank you. I've only recently relocated back to the UK with my family, but for the past 10 years we were living in Singapore, and that's what I would like to talk about today. So nearly 10 years ago, in 2012, we moved to Singapore from the UK. I was 3 years old at that time, and when I was in the UK, I used to love looking out of my window and seeing the bin men emptying the rubbish and recycling bins in separate trucks every week. Moving to Singapore was an amazing experience. Everything was so clean, safe, and different from what we are used to. However, despite enjoying our new life, we became very aware of one concerning difference. Recycling was not a common practice there. Could we change the slide, please? The day our letting agent was first showing us around our rental apartment, we had seen a shiny metal flap on the balcony wall. I was very surprised and a bit disappointed when I was told to think of that as a rubbish bin. That flap was the chute for throwing rubbish down. Zahra and I wondered whether it was a system that would sort and categorize all the waste. Sadly, no. There was no system. You just put anything and everything in there and poof, it disappeared. That didn't sound right, especially as we were so used to recycling when living in the UK. As a family, we continued our practice of segregating the recyclables and non-recyclables. We took the recycling to a different place and only used the chute for the waste that couldn't be recycled. Unfortunately, this wasn't what everyone around us did. We got increasingly more concerned and wondered what could be done about it.
Yes, so as Hassan said, we were very surprised when we moved to Singapore and saw that households did not separate waste into recyclables and non-recyclables. This is scary, especially if you consider the implications. Everything was going to the landfill for disposal. Everything. This is worrying anyways, but even more so given that Singapore has limited land space available for the landfill. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that very interesting input, Zahra and Hassan. Indeed, I myself, who is actually from the Philippines, do have the same issue when it comes to not segregating. And indeed, when I was there at Cardiff, Wales, I had my master's there at Cardiff University. And so I saw the same bins, no? And the segregation is really very interesting. And then when I came back here in the Philippines, the distribution is no longer the same. And it's really hurting that you actually don't do much, no, for the environment. So thank you for raising that up. It's really something that everybody should be adopting, the segregation and the recycling of all of these materials. These are just some of the very interesting solutions that we can actually talk about as we go forward. But before we do that, we would like to have first a message from our brother who is also interested in sharing with us his inputs and being our special chief guest tonight, and to give us also his own inputs about taking care of our environment. So much with that, and also to all of those who are watching us right now all over the world through the Zoom, and of course we see reactions from all over the globe. And thank you very much for those who are here, the Romanian representative. We also have from Jakarta and from the US. Thank you very much for being with us. So let's hear from our chief guest, Dr. Benjamin Eves, our assistant head teacher from Canon Slade. Sir, you would like to share with us also your message and your input on this issue, sir.
Absolutely, and thank you very much indeed for that wonderful introduction. I'm blown away, I have to say at this point. I've been involved with MACFEST for the past 3 years as part of it with the Youth Culture Festival. Several of my students have taken part. We did this panel last year, and to see the quality of the depth of thought of the students, the observations that they've made. They've looked at the world around them and they've recognised where those issues sit. I've been really surprised today to hear that it's not a common thing to actually disaggregate your waste, to separate your waste into recyclables. I was quite surprised by that because it's become such a norm in aspects of the society in the UK that students go and try and find exactly the correct bin and are confused when it's not available. And then to look at that commonality across countries separated by huge geographical expanses, and yet that same issue, that issue of land use, of the abuse of the land, and the driving factor behind it, that development, that capital gain that people are making. That is why these kind of panels are so vitally important. It's so important that people recognise they're not operating in isolation. They're not the only person who is seeing what is happening and want to make those changes. And it's only through those aspects of cooperation and communication from all countries, and especially with the youth coming through, recognising the fact that there are other people that they can talk to, there are people they can reach out to, connect to, and really start to make that change. And as we've seen today, with quite a few of our students, they're aware of the global issue, they're aware of this overarching issue with climate change, and they're looking at local ways of changing it. Even our youngest participant is saying how being taught to respect his school environment and how to behave on a daily basis, and then taking that out of the school environment, taking that out into the local community, then taking it out into the country, then taking it out internationally. I think that's the real message that we need to take away from this panel and from other panels like it, which is people can't do this in isolation. We have to work together as an international community. The way we do that is through communication, through mutual respect, and for having that drive, that absolute need to secure a sustainable future for our children and for their children, and going forward for the whole human race. And as I say, it was a huge honour for me to be asked to take part in this. And I'm very excited to hear what the solutions are that our young people have, because they're the ones who are going to be putting those into place. So thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Dr. Eves. Actually, it's interesting, right? I could not agree less with what you have said and what you have actually summarized with the points given by these children. And in fact, when they will be giving their possible solutions, I would be more interested. And yes, I agree that in the past years, being with you here on MACFEST, and also Kaisra here, is really very much looking into how the youth panel can really be contributing to the changes in our environment and in our society. So thank you very much, Dr. Eves, for that. And then let's go back to our children from Morocco, our youth from Morocco. Maybe you would like to add further. Our very young Mohammad Khalil, or we have also Louay Khalil, to add on to what was mentioned earlier, and also some of your perceived solutions that we can do for our community as a whole in the world.
Thank you. We have some solutions for our problems here in Morocco, but these solutions are only based on the technology and traditions we have for now. To avoid all these types of pollution, there are a lot of solutions that we could make and convince our families and neighbors to agree with. And these solutions are switching from cars to alternative means of transportation to avoid air pollution, avoiding the use of all items and resources that are made with plastic, avoiding waste production, which is a big problem in the entirety of planet Earth, and not just Morocco, then reducing the use of detergents, and then finally, most importantly, saving electricity and water. And that's it for what I have to say.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Louay. It's indeed a very good input. No, it's a good solution. It's a good startup. All right. And what was also mentioned by your brother earlier this evening, it was really very interesting that as young as he is, he was able to identify what he can probably do in his own ways and terms. All right. So then we have also here from California once again. Let's hear from our participant from California, USA, Yousha Mikyle. Maybe you would like to give your input before we call on Fauziyyah for your solutions. What are your perceived solutions?
Absolutely. So when looking at the way the environment is treated by nations like the US, it's easy to lose all hope. Fortunately, there are solutions. So all solutions for this issue stem from a fundamental change in how we think of the environment. Although it may not feel like it in 2023, the environment is an integral part of the human identity. To go forward in a cleaner manner, we have to acknowledge that environmental issues are human issues. To understand that, we can look at my own home city of San Diego. Although there's still a lot of work to be done, the past century has seen major progress in rethinking our relationship with our environment. Through planting the urban forest, that is Balboa Park, and maintaining endangered species in nearby wildlife centers, the city has displayed what it means to respect nature, and it's helped humans. As the National Library of Medicine reports, urban green spaces like Balboa work to better their communities on all accounts. These include direct impacts like absorbed heat, reduced carbon emissions, restored local environments, and much cleaner air. It was also found that these spaces contribute to larger indirect impacts, like better physical health, better mental health, and overall happier communities. On the most local scale, preserving the environment can build better communities and foster healthy relationships with nature. On a larger scale, California preserves the vast majority of its natural environment through national and state parks. While it might seem insignificant, the preservation of the environment on this level allows for re-established relations between American people and American nature. Parks allow for citizens to freely experience connection with nature in its purest state. Unfortunately, these preservation efforts are the exception of an otherwise unforgiving attitude on the environment. Don't get me wrong, becoming one with nature isn't going to solve every environmental issue. But when our government is only encouraging further destruction and neglect, the solution won't be quick or easy. As I saw someone in the chat say, despite caring about the environment, many Americans simply can't push for major change. People have pushed for green solutions for decades now, but those in power haven't responded. As long as we think of the environment as just an outside force, as long as we think of the tree simply as tall green neighbors, we'll never care enough to actually do anything to protect them. We have to realize that the environment is part of our community, and we have to treat it accordingly. If everyone appreciates nature, maybe then they'll care to protect it against extermination. If enough of us really value the world we live in, maybe we could make effective change. What we've accomplished so far has been amazing, but there's still a lot of work to be done. Fortunately, we know that by rekindling the relationship between humanity and its environment, the path ahead of us is clear and green. It's impossible not to get caught up in the blame game of various corporations or governments that hurt the environment, but the solution starts with us. In a world where it's easier than ever to forget about what was here before us, appreciate the beauty of nature. As Muslims, we know the beauty and value of the earth that was given to us. Hearing all of these stories of environments around the world today underlines how unique each and every environment is. Go outside, sit under the trees that grow in your area. Remember what we learned from animism. Your environment is like your family. It's part of what makes you, you. So respect it as such. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well said. Actually, I would like to agree with Dr. Ibs in saying that this is an amazing panel, and congratulations already to the parents of our participants for sharing all your thoughts here. And because of rearing children like this who are really into taking care of our community, especially our environment. So I could not also agree less with Yousha in saying that it's actually a human issue. When we talk about the environment, it's actually a human issue in general. So to further on, I'd like to hear from Fauziyyah Lawal from Lagos, Nigeria, for all of the things that you have also in mind in responding to the problems that you actually have enumerated a while ago. There is so much to say on the preservation of your environment there in Nigeria? Fauziyyah?
Assalamu alaikum again. First off, I have a list of a few things we could do, us as youths, us as citizens of the countries we come from, and then our government, what the government will also do. So first off, we need to be aware of the problems that we have, the environmental issues in the country, and then we have to be aware of the solutions of what we can do. We can't blame everything on the government. The government didn't do this, they didn't do that. We also have our part to play in the correction of these things. Schools should also encourage recycling. In Nigeria, currently, there isn't a proper system for recycling. We don't have the green bin, black bin system in a lot of countries. So before that is implemented by the country itself, we as citizens, we have to do something about that. Perhaps in school, we could have maybe plastic bottle bins in school. We could have a committee for recycling. Also, we should reduce, reuse, and recycle. That has been said for so many years now. What we can use again, we should use again. I hear a lot of people talking about, if I wear clothes once, I can't wear it again. That is very terrible for the environment. You should wear things again. You should use, if you use a bottle once, you can wash it, you can put your smoothie in it the next time. Buy, when you go out for coffee, instead of buying the plastic ones, you could get the to-go cup. You could always get your coffee in that, and then you can use the plastic again, or you can use the bottle again. So the government, what can the government do? The government should have strict laws and penalties for offenders, people who don't pay attention to the environment. Like, for example, poaching is a major problem in a lot of parts, a lot of countries that have major forests. So the government should put strict laws against poaching and encourage forest reserves. They should have forest reserves to protect animals that are going into extinction. For example, we have the elephants in Nigeria is being hunted for their tusk, their ivory. So we have to protect them, because what we do to the animals has an impact on what goes around comes around. What we do, what we give out to the environment has a way of coming back to us. I saw in the chat that some people also agreed with the fact that they don't have a suitable recycling work in their country. I think as a union of countries, we should have a way by which we should agree on how, for example, countries dump their refuge in the lake or in the ocean. We should have a way of, talking about that, coming up with solutions together. We should plant more trees, definitely. If you have a garden, you can plant like a little orange tree in your garden instead of having to go to the shop to buy orange, because in the process you buy orange in the shop, you use the plastic bags and then you throw the plastic bags away, and then they are not biodegradable, and then that just causes a lot of other problems for the country. If you can grow your own plants, grow your own fruits, use paper bags instead of plastic. The government should pay more attention and control to the industrial sector. So in a lot of shops, people go to shops daily, not daily, but a lot of times a week, and they buy things and they use the plastic bags, and then they come back the next time and get more plastic bags, and then they just throw them away. And then that's a problem for everybody, not just you. For the generation coming, for this generation, we have so many issues already. If it's hot now, imagine how hot it will be in a few years if we continue with this. So we need to deal with it now. We've been talking about this for so long: environmental problems, climate change. We can't keep talking about it. We need to put action in right now. Safe mode of public transport should be encouraged to encourage citizens to burn less fossil fuels. In my country especially, a lot of people are scared to use the bus and trains because of recent events. We have trains that were hijacked recently in Kaduna State, a state in northern Nigeria. So a lot of people, it's a new train, and now a lot of people are scared to use it. The country did something. We got new trains, and then a group of people spoiled the good work. So safe mode of public transport should be encouraged by the country so that people are not scared to go in buses or trains. And because there's traffic everywhere, because everyone's going everywhere by car, because everyone's scared to use train or buses. And also using flights more regularly should be discouraged because of the amount of carbon emission in the atmosphere. And then every time we use a plane, imagine how much damage we're doing to the environment when we could have just driven like maybe a few hours to where we're going. So we have to do something about it. The government has to do something about it. And I hope in a few years I'll be able to look back and think, wow, this used to be our problems and we don't have those problems anymore. Thank you.
MashaAllah, inshallah, dear Fauziyyah, your very interesting inputs are indeed one of the greatest solutions that we can really think of. I cannot agree less. They are all brilliant responses. And what you have given us are actually some of the things that could inspire all of us here, especially those who are commenting right now on our screen. Thank you very much for what you've said. Yes, indeed, we are going to make a difference, and we are starting it now with the youth panel that we have tonight. And the last but not the least team from our Cardiff community, we have Zahra and Hassan. Thank you again, Fauziyyah. Now let's listen to Hassan and Zahra Ali from Cardiff High School. So maybe they could add on to the solutions that they have just mentioned this evening. Hassan and Zahra.
Thank you. So as I said earlier, our problem was the lack of households recycling their waste in Singapore. So we set up a recycling initiative called Zap Trash, which we ran for 9 years until we returned to the UK just a few months back. It required us to sacrifice 450 Saturday morning Ryans, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Could you have the next slide, please? Thank you. Much to our surprise, soon after finding out that recycling was not so common in Singapore, we soon spotted an opportunity to do something about it. We decided to take action. We didn't let negative thoughts stop us, like we're just children, it's too big a task, or no one will listen to us. Next slide, please. We went to run the enterprise methodically, first using the name Zap Trash for our enterprise. The name encompasses our mission statement, which is to get rid of all the rubbish. Next, we created our logo, then leaflets including our information, what our motivation was, and what we were supposed to do. Next slide, please. We had decided that we would go door to door in our apartment and try to convince households to segregate the waste they produce instead of just dumping everything down the chute. We including our little sister Amina, would then go around every weekend to collect the recyclables door to door, and at the end of our collection, we would take it all to the recycling facility. Now over to my sister Zahra, who'll tell you more about what we did and how we made Zap Trash even more meaningful for all involved.
Hello again. Please could I have the next slide? Thank you. Starting and running Zap Trash required behavior change at 2 levels. First, changing our own behavior, and second, changing the behavior of others around us. Although we had a plan, the initial execution was quite daunting. Being so young, we were shy, and the thought of just walking up to a stranger's house and convincing them to recycle was very daunting. But what was worse was the thought of the consequences of not taking any action at all. So we began. It was a great learning experience. Please could I have the next slide? Thank you. We had a variety of responses, mostly encouraging, because at the end of the day, we were 3 small children wanting to save the planet. Some people listened to us patiently, but had several reasons why they couldn't take up our service. Some people spoke to us through closed doors and said they weren't interested, while others opened the door only to slam it shut in our faces, threatening to report us to the authorities. Some people also said that our actions were not going to make a difference, so it wasn't worth it. We learned excellent lessons in perseverance and facing rejection with politeness and grace, and accepting that change is difficult for many people, no matter how small it may be. Could I have the next slide, please? Despite the setbacks, we continued because we believed in our cause, and thankfully we soon had many families wanting to join us on this journey. They agreed to make a change to their waste disposal habit, and so it was that on the 8th of November 2014, Zaptrash made its first collection. We were excited about our brand new adventure, and on our first collection, we went door to door, and the lift started filling up with piles of newspapers, empty milk bottles, cartons, plastic containers, and so on. Just looking at how much we had saved from going to the landfill was amazing. Could I have the next slide, please? Over the next few weeks and months, we spent a lot of time engaging with our customers, discussing what could or couldn't be recycled, how to prepare materials for recycling collection, and apologizing to them if they had grief from their neighbors about leaving waste out for us to collect and so on. Our customers started giving us a token amount of $2 a month, which would have made great pocket money, but we decided to use it to fund something we feel passionate about, which is alleviating global poverty, hunger, and economic inequality. We used the money to sponsor a child named Mikyle, who lives in Kenya, and have been doing it ever since then. Could I have the next slide, please? The key to making any change permanent is consistency. Although it wasn't always easy showing up every early Saturday morning, we persisted. Over the 9 years, now with Amina, my sister, as our CEO, we have managed to save 13 tons worth of recyclable materials from going into the landfill, which is an even bigger deal for a country like Singapore where land is limited. For those of you who may find it hard to visualize how much 13 tons is, it's the equivalent of 3 Asian elephants in weight, or 3 city buses in volume. Could I have the next slide, please? Our action inspired others into action too, and many more families in other condos were inspired to start similar initiatives in their apartment blocks. Could I have the next slide, please? Despite moving back to the UK, we didn't just abandon Zaptrash. We wanted our customers to continue their behavior, so we handed over the reins to our new CEO, Tanya Almeida, aged 11. We are so happy that Tanya will continue our mission and grow Zaptrash even further. Finally, I'd like to share an inspiring quote from Margaret Mead, who said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. That was really very touching. And in fact, your initiative, Zahra and of course, Hassan and Amina, actually in those days and in those years, as young as you are, actually we are so delighted to have known individuals like you who have actually made a very, very important solution to a problem in a community like Singapore in those days. So maybe everybody here can say fantastic or a round of applause for these little children who are here with us right now. Yes. Thank you very much. And also to all of our children who are here tonight, who are actually in the Zoom right now. Today is really an interesting get-together because it is a chance to have one another and of course explain to us the environmental challenges that we are facing in our own countries and in our own communities. But definitely what's interesting in this panel is actually that they were able to express and give us the solutions that they needed and they wanted their generation to see. And as they all said, everything should be done from within. It has to start from us and it has to start from our young children. And for me, by just listening to all of you and hosting you today, made me realize that there is still a chance for this earth. And there is still a chance for everyone because youngsters like you do exist and you are aware of what is happening around you. So thank you very much for this wonderful panel that Sister Kaisra was able to have me as your host for tonight. Thank you once again for joining us. And maybe I would be returning this for the closing for this panel. And we hope that we could see you in the next panels and other activities of MACFEST. Once again, thank you very much. This is your host, Sorhaila from the Philippines, and I would like to share this to move this to Sister Kaisra or to Patsy for the closing of this program.
Well, thank you. And you've certainly done a great job of thanking all the contributors. So thanks to you for being such a passionate host. And what's come through to me listening today is the passion and the careful thought that's gone into your analyses of some of the issues and that ability to take action to respond to them, which is absolutely fantastic. And I love the way the actions that you're taking and your ability to articulate all these issues is inspiring others to keep that work going. So we have to remain hopeful, and we have to take action both ourselves, but along with other people around the world. So thank you for your contributions. Thanks for your time preparing for them. And we hope as many of you as possible can join the next event on Tuesday evening. All right, bye for now.
Bye for now. And what amazing young people. I am absolutely thrilled. It's been fantastic. Well done, everybody. You are amazing ambassadors for environment, for the future. I'm lost for words. Thank you, Sorhaila. Thank you, Patsy. Thank you, Dr. Ben, and my own team. Okay, Assalamu alaikum.